Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. Today's video we're going to be having a look at something new that VIOFO sent out to me for the purpose of review. Now if you remember a little while back, they sent me out the triple channel camera for the Pajero, which I use for obviously when I'm going forward driving. I love that 3-channel camera. So when I'm forward driving as a YouTuber, obviously it allows me to capture action that's going on behind me, obviously anything that's going on in front of me, and then obviously any reaction or something when I'm driving. I'll put that in there. You can see when I was forward driving with the boys a little while ago, we had an incident where I got relatively close to rolling over. I knew what was going on, so I was comfortable enough. But it just allows you to capture all that information.
Good bump. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep it going. One swing, let that down. Whoa. Come back a little. Yep, right out. Let that down. Alright. Right hand down. Good bump. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep it going. One swing, let that down. Whoa. Come back a little. Yep, right out. Let that down. Alright. Right hand down.
Now, before VIOFO reached out to me and said, look, would you like to do a review of this camera? I was already using, I think this was the original 119. Now, this is the larger, older model. I'm not sure whether this was their original camera or not, but based on the fact that this camera had been in the car for probably 4 to 5 years, and I think it had actually gone through multiple cars, and it was just a camera that just worked. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what you want from a dash camera. You want to be able to put it up and just have it do its thing and record and not even have to think about it. And for me, that was what this did. So when they reached out to me and said, look, can we send you the triple channel version of the new camera that we've got? Great, you beauty. Absolutely. I was due for an update. I've been more than happy with that unit in the car. It has started to make a few little extra noises that it didn't used to. Every now and then it'll be recording, then all of a sudden it'll just start beeping like it's doing a format or something along those lines, and then it just starts recording again. I'm not sure whether I've got a loose connection as far as what I'm powering it with, but I need to get in and check that. I'm not sure whether it's the camera that's starting to play silly buggers or whether it's a connection that I need to adjust. And VIOFO reached out and said, we've got a new camera coming out, very similar to your other one. Would you like to have a look at it? And of course I'm like, yep, absolutely, I would. I need one for my work car. They've actually sent me their new one. Now when I say new one, they reached out to me before Christmas. Because I've been cooking everything, everything has been delayed. But this is the relatively new A119 Mini. Nearly identical to this larger one that I've got here. It's just a smaller unit, it's an updated version. In addition to having just the screen on the back, which is how you used to interact with the old one, this one actually uses Wi-Fi, the same as the 3-channel model that we reviewed before. You see, it is a slightly smaller unit. My original one didn't have the GPS mount, which would normally sit behind the ear and make that a little bit thicker. This one does have the GPS built in, so you'll see that it is a little bit deeper. So from a size perspective, the original was a little bit taller, the Mini is a little bit deeper. So it's much of a muchness really size-wise. In addition to having the screen on the front, which I must admit I haven't missed in the triple channel, the T10, I think it is T310, might be the model number. I haven't missed the camera, I haven't missed the screen on the back of that, but it is a nice addition. Don't need to use your Wi-Fi to access the camera settings and make adjustments or see what's going on. You can literally interact with the camera via these 4 buttons and this screen and then never have to use the Wi-Fi at all. But I love the Wi-Fi. It just makes everything so much more simple as far as interacting with the camera. Look, everybody's used to apps, but be able to go in, to set your camera up, bring up the view on your screen and then just see exactly what you're capturing and just get it all set and ready to go. Beyond that initial setup process and using the Wi-Fi, it's very, very rare that I will actually log in to the camera via the app to do anything. I might occasionally go in and do a format of the SD card, but generally as a rule, once I've set it up, I'm not going in there at all. The one thing that I really like as far as functionality of the app goes is the ability for you to pull data or to pull footage off this via Wi-Fi and take it straight on your device. So for example, say you've been driving along and you've had an accident.
Mate, I was just about to start doing the hildy drill stuff. You get the bricks off the last column and yes, the armo.
Basically what you could do is if you've had an accident, you could literally log into this on your Wi-Fi using your device and the app, pull the footage of the accident straight off the camera, put it on your phone, and then literally walk into the police station and you've got a copy of that directly on your phone. Of course, you could take out the SD card and take that in as well, but just the ability to pull the footage directly off this without having to pull the SD card, without possibly having to unmount it to get better access to the SD card. Literally just log into it on the app via the Wi-Fi, pull the footage out, and then do what you need to do with that footage. Really, really good. Now, as far as the camera goes itself, this original model, and the reason I picked this one up, this was a 4K model, and I think it did up to 4K 30. This one is only a 2K version, but the sensor in this is much newer than this, which makes this one much better in low light than the original one. The A119 Mini is a 2K camera, so 1440p at 60 frames a second. Now obviously you could lower that resolution if you want to, but your 1440 is going to give you the largest viewing angle out the front of that windscreen, and then obviously 60 frames a second. It just makes that a little bit easier to get still frame and stuff from the footage if you need it. So in the box, if you're just going to buy the camera itself, you're obviously going to have the camera unit, the GPS mount on the back, manual. Now you also get a interior trim remover, so if you want to run the power cord from this, you can run it up behind your trim. You can use that to do that. A really long power cable. Now this is a USB-C power cable for this one. The original one was micro USB, but it's nice to see them move over to USB-C. So you've got a cable there. It's around about 3 meters long, this cable, if I can remember correctly. We've also got a SIGI socket plugged with USB outputs. So ultimately this will plug into your cigarette lighter socket, and then this is just going to run up to the camera itself. Now then we've got a shorter USB-C cable to connect it to a computer, doing updates, anything along those lines. So with the 3-channel camera that I've got in the Pajero, I did go out and buy myself the hard wiring kit, which obviously I haven't installed yet, but what that does is allows you to connect this directly into the car's power source, you know, down into your fuse panel or something along those lines, and then run this up top and then just have it powered straight off the car, rather than having to worry about extra SIGI sockets and all that sort of stuff. What that allows you to do with these VIOFO cameras is they have what's called parking mode. So your car takes a hit while it's parked, the camera will activate and capture whatever's going on around your car, and you'll obviously get footage of any incident or something that happens to your car while you're not around it, not just when you're driving. So luckily they've sent me the hard wiring kit, so I've got one for the Pajero, that one's going to go for the Commodore. So they sent us a memory card as well, that's a 64 gig, so clearly they think that's sufficient. Again, I tend to run with the 128. So they sent us the polarizing filter as well. I'll be quite interested to see how much difference this makes, because depending on the angle of your windscreen, you can get a little bit of reflection coming off the screen. You'll catch the reflection of the windscreen. This is meant to stop that. It's kind of like wearing a pair of sunglasses, so that should stop our reflection coming off the windscreen. The other thing they've sent me is the Bluetooth remote control. Now, when you're driving along, if you have an accident or something happens that you want to capture that moment, what you can do on the camera itself is there's a big button here on the front. So you can see you've got your 4 control buttons, and then you've got this large button down the bottom. Same on the older unit. So if you see something that happens, there's an accident that happens in front of you or something along those lines, your car doesn't take a hit, which means it's not going to automatically save that footage. What you can do is just reach up and hit this button, and that's going to save that footage so it doesn't get overwritten.
Video protected.
VIOFO, thanks very much. Normally, obviously, in the past, you've just sent out the cameras, but it's nice to be able to get the additional stuff. In particular, this little button. I was really curious about this. I'm not sure whether this is something that I would probably pay for, because I'm usually more than happy to reach up and hit this button, but I'm more than happy to test this out and see how it works. Right, and just to prove a point, I just want to grab the old unit and a power brick. Plug our USB into that. I just want to see whether she powers up. Now it's been sitting in a box for, when did we get that last VIOFO unit? Probably at least over 12 months ago, I guess. Again, this is probably at least 5, maybe 6 years old. And it was still working when taken down. I don't even know whether I got a memory card in it. I don't. Let's just plug this in. See if she powers up. She goes. Please insert memory card. Now again, this has been sitting in a box for probably over 12 months. I want to say it's at least 5 years old prior to that. So I reckon this is 6, maybe 7 years old. Look, I don't know. It's a fair age. And again, this has just worked. Now the other thing that this does, in addition to having the Wi-Fi, so you can access it via the app, or being able to use the screen and using the buttons on the front, it also has voice prompts. So it's going to tell you what's going on. So if it wants you to format the card, it'll let you know to format the card.
Please insert the memory card.
If it's starting to record, you're going to hear this voice prompt. It's going to tell you that it's recording.
Recording started.
You can obviously turn that off, but I find that's much easier than just listening to a series of beeps trying to figure out what's going on with your camera. Now just quickly, while I'm out and about and driving around and just getting this video done for this, one thing that annoys me with this unit and the other unit, and I'm going to put this down as a con, one issue I've got, and one thing I'll list as a con, and probably the only thing I think I can think of, is that when you're driving around and you hit a decent bump, it records that as an accident and stores the file. They're just too sensitive in that area. You do have the option of having high, medium or low as far as sensitivity goes in the application in relation to that. But I am finding that even on the low setting, they are still too sensitive. I'd like that wound back a bit, probably half again. Certainly when it comes to the triple unit in the four-wheel drive and going off-road, you can imagine how much of an issue that is. It's always capturing these files every time I go over a bump. And I have found that this unit is very similar in sensitivity, and in my mind, just too sensitive. They need to come back a little bit. Give you an option very low, if that's a possibility. So VIOFO, if you can give us additional adjustment or wind those back even more, I'm finding they're just too sensitive. Even the smallest bump, shutting the car door, stuff like that, is setting it off, and it's securing that file like there's been some sort of an accident. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it seems to do it just too often. So ultimately, that's the VIOFO A119 MINI. Now VIOFO has a heap of other cameras out, which I wasn't aware of, and I'm going to put a few of those up on the screen here. The majority of their cameras will come in, I guess, 3 different variants. You're going to have a variant that'll have the main camera and an interior camera, and then you can get the big daddy of them all, which is the 3-channel unit. What I wasn't aware of is that they will have a number of different types of cameras in each series, and then they're going to have those 3 different variants there as well. So you're just normal front-facing camera, your front-facing and internal camera, and then the 3-channel, which is going to be front-facing, your internal camera, and then the one there at the back. So depending on what your needs are and how much you want to spend, you're going to have a look at those options there as well. Never had an overheating issue with any of these units here in Australia, even through the middle of summer. Not been a problem at all. It's the VIOFO A119 MINI and a couple of little additional accessories that they sent out for the purpose of review. So my experience is, whether it's been the ones that they've sent out to me or the ones that I've purchased before, all of these cameras for me have just worked, and that's all I can ask. So there you go, A119 MINI from VIOFO. Links down in the description for direct to their website and to Amazon if you want to go and have a look. Thanks very much for stopping by. Nice to see you again. We'll catch you on the next one.